All right, let's just get right into it. Have you ever had that feeling deep down that you're just wired differently? Like you're picking up on frequencies that pretty much everyone else misses? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into, the psychology of the old soul brain.
This right here is a total game changer. We're moving way beyond simple personality labels you'd find in some magazine quiz. This isn't about being quirky. It's about having a brain that is literally built to hunt for depth, to demand meaning, and to run on logic instead of getting distracted by all the shallow, shiny things.
I mean, this is for anyone who's ever felt like they were on the outside looking in, right? If you were the kid who always needed to know the why behind the hype, if big crowds just drained your battery while being alone recharged it, well, psychology has a name for that, and it is definitely not socially awkward. The term is cognitive complexity, and we're about to break down exactly what that means. So, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through 6 specific signs that completely reframe what you might have always thought of as your personal flaws. That skeptical streak, that need for quiet time, that fierce independence. We're going to look at how they're actually evidence of a seriously intelligent and resilient mind just doing its thing. Okay, first things first, let's lay the groundwork for all of this. What do we even mean when we say this brain has a unique architecture? It really all boils down to this one concept: cognitive complexity. And look, this isn't about being smart, like having a high IQ. It's about your brain's capacity to hold multiple, even contradictory ideas at the same time without short-circuiting. It's about seeing the world in all its messy shades of gray and knowing that the simple black and white answer is almost never the full story. This is the operating system we're talking about. So let's jump into our first 2 signs. This is where we see how that cognitive complexity actually plays out in the real world, especially with how you deal with other people and just stuff. So, you know that person in the meeting who always points out the potential flaw in a plan? They get labeled as negative, right? But here's the reality. It's not about wanting things to fail. It's because your brain is constantly running these complex simulations based on everything it's ever seen. You've witnessed systems fail at work, in society, everywhere. So what people call skepticism is actually a highly practical and frankly intelligent form of risk assessment. Have you ever left a party, one filled with nothing but surface-level chit-chat, and felt completely exhausted? Well, this is exactly why. Think of your brain's processing power like a battery. Small talk forces it to burn energy on social cues and generic responses for no real meaningful payoff. For a brain that's wired for depth, that's just a terrible return on investment. You're not antisocial, you're just really, really efficient with your cognitive energy. Okay, now let's turn inward. These next 2 signs are all about how this type of brain processes trust and solves problems, which often means tuning out all the external noise to get the job done. Oh, this is a big one. Having a healthy distrust of authority isn't about being a rebel without a cause. For a mind with high cognitive complexity, it's a perfectly logical conclusion. You've simply observed too many inconsistencies, too many failures in big institutions to offer them your blind faith. So you've learned that the most reliable source of truth often comes from your own direct experience. You trust what you can actually verify yourself. Just think about that for a second. That instinct you have to just get away, to walk, to be alone with your own thoughts, where does that even come from? Well, it comes from this. It doesn't matter if you're walking it out or quietly talking yourself through a problem at your desk, you're actually using a very high-level cognitive tool. See, speaking your thoughts out loud forces your brain to give them structure, to make them logical. You're basically holding a strategy session with yourself to arrive at a smarter conclusion. It's not weird at all. It's advanced problem solving in action. All right, let's get to our last 2 signs, and honestly, these are probably the most sophisticated ones. They're about mastering your emotional world and creating the perfect environment for real creativity. This gets so misunderstood. Psychological detachment isn't about being cold or not having feelings. It's actually the exact opposite. It's about understanding your emotions so well that you know which battles are worth fighting and which ones are just a waste of energy. You can walk away from a toxic situation without needing to scream or get the last word in, because you've learned your own internal peace is way more valuable. That's not cold, that's a superpower. And finally, that powerful need for silence. We live in a world that is just nonstop noise and information, and you instinctively pull back. People might look at that and think you're withdrawn or disconnected. But what's really going on is something called the incubation effect. Your brain is taking all the data it's gathered, and in that quiet, it's finally connecting the dots, generating original ideas, and actually creating something new. You're not just consuming the world, you're building your own. So let's put all the pieces on the table. When you stop looking at these 6 signs as just random quirks and start seeing them as a connected pattern, a whole new picture of who you are starts to take shape. And that's the whole point, isn't it? This isn't about some cheesy motivational poster. It's about understanding the real psychological wiring diagram of your mind. The skepticism, the need for solitude, the calm detachment, these aren't character flaws to be fixed. They are the unmistakable signatures of a mind that was built for depth and resilience. And once you truly see that pattern, blaming yourself just kind of stops making sense. So, I'm just going to leave you with this question. Understanding this architecture, recognizing these traits not as bugs but as powerful features, that changes the entire game. It gives you a whole new set of tools to work with. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with them?